Okay, let's try to get this show on the road. Ba -ba -ba. Hey, what's up, everyone? How are you doing today? Everybody doing good? Today might be a tough one. We'll see. It's been a long time. Hey, awesome to see you in the chat, Nightwolf. Appreciate it. Oh, awesome. Glad to hear you're doing good. So let me just first off share the link to my Discord if you guys want to submit suggestions and talk to me or whatever. I now have a Discord. Somebody suggested that last stream, so it's relatively new. Still working on it. So let me just get this out of the way here. No limit, never. Generate new link, copy. Hey, familiar faces in the chat. Awesome. So feel free to join the Discord if you haven't. It's a great way to... Oh, damn. Dude, that's hardcore. You're new as well, right? I recognize you from Twitter via security, right? Awesome to have you in the chat. Awesome. Sorry to hear it's so late for you, though, but glad you made it. I'll try to be quick and precise then, right? Everybody needs some pipeline love in their life, for sure. Yeah, so yeah, join the Discord and yeah, have fun. Awesome. Okay, so fair warning, I mean, I don't do much preparations for the stream because I don't want them to be a chore. I want them to be fun. I want them to feel sort of dynamic and interactive. So I don't do like a whole lot of preparation. And to be honest, I haven't looked at the basic setup of SharpCollection in like since the creation of it. So let me try to switch to the VM. There we go. And then I'll try it. The pipeline stuff is okay. That's where the main sauce is. But the release pipeline for actually pushing it out to GitHub can be a bit specific because I'm pushing it to a public GitHub repo. But I'll start off with the pipelines because that's the template for compiling is the main sauce you guys probably want. So basically, this is in regards to a project of mine called SharpCollection, which is, so if you don't know, I'm an old developer. I used to work with what we would call continuous development and integration, which means that I would push something to a branch, it would automatically be compiled and then be pushed out to whatever environment we're working on, dev, test, prod, whatever, right? And this sort of is that same mindset, but with tools that we use on the offensive side. So instead of having to download and pull and update the latest version of Rubius and then build it and use that binary, I just want to have the binary ready to go. So actually it's free. It's 100% free. DevOps is still free. I'm not paying a cent for DevOps. That's great. I wonder how long it will be free. I mean, it's still sort of a new thing. And you could probably do it with GitLabs as well, yeah. But yeah, I'm not paying anything for it. So what I want is that I want this repo to monitor every sort of main or every known or useful C# offensive security tool out there. And then as soon as somebody merges or commits to the master branch, I want it to automatically compile so I can grab that binary without having to do anything. I want the latest and greatest updated offensive binaries at my disposal 24/7 all days of the year, right? And that project became SharpCollection, which is a GitHub repo containing basically all, like, I'm not, obviously it doesn't contain all, but all publicly known to be good, fair, released, offensive and non-offensive C# tools as well. And this is the GitHub, it's on GitHub, it's called SharpCollection. I'm almost pushing 1,000 stars. 1,000 stars would be amazing, that would be so cool to hit. Some information about it, I have this long table which tells you, this project is, I have binaries in 4.0, 4.5, and 4.7. If you're working on, like a Windows 7 machine that might just have 4.0 and not 4.7, then you can download that and use that. Full list here, and then further down I have a full list of explanation and credits to the amazing people having created these tools. Obviously, all of them, I have some tools in here, but obviously, like, majority of them are not mine. They're creations by other amazing people. I'm sure I try my best to give credit where credit is due, for sure on these. And obviously, this is a sort of it's an OPSEC discussion to have, right? Should you pull binaries from some random repo online and deploy it on a customer's computer? Absolutely fucking not. Do not do that. I am relatively straight up about it here as well. That is terrible OPSEC. You should never deploy binaries that you don't know are good, that you haven't looked over the source for, that isn't from a legitimate source on anybody else's resources or computers in case something goes bad. It hasn't happened yet. To my knowledge, yeah, it's a YOLO, right? To my knowledge, nobody has been burned on this yet. I mean, there was this project, like a CVE that dropped about a year back or something. That was just a rickroll that a lot of people pulled, didn't read the source, and then actually got rickrolled, which was kind of funny. But it just shows shows how few people actually go through what they're pulling and running, right? They're just running it on machines. So the main intention behind this is obviously have a great collection of sharp tools to know of, right? If you have some specific need on an engagement, you can just go through and you can find, okay, Thunderfox, I can probably use that to pull credentials from Thunderbird. SharpCom, if I want to invoke, that's the C port of the invoke DCOM. If I want to touch DCOM objects from C#, cool. Sharp shares, if I want to enumerate shares on the network, cool, right? So there's that functionality of having a lookup, but also if you pull the binaries and you inspect them, you make sure that it's legitimate. That obviously I'm not going back to anything. I have no intention of doing that. You don't know that though, but I have no intention of doing that. So the main sort of fault here, or the main risk, is if the master branch, which I'm compiling from, has been compromised or gotten a bad commit. I believe that happened to PHP a while back. If I recall correctly, somebody fucked up the main PHP router or something. Or if the account that controls this pipeline gets compromised, right? Obviously, IMFA protection and everything on that, and either way, any binary that you download from here, take a look at it. There's this great tool called dnspy that I always use to take a look at C# binaries, and you can basically, that's one of the nice benefits. Yeah, PHP, right? So that's one of the nice benefits of C#, right? You can read, unless it's heavily obfuscated, which SharpCollection doesn't do. You can basically just look through the source like it was in Visual Studio. Like, it's super easy to take a look at, and it's no hassle at all, right? So take a look at stuff before you deploy them. If you're doing stuff on Hack the Box, if you're doing lab environments, if you're doing detection mapping, if you're just generally playing around in the VM, this is great. I mean, I know I can't recall the guy's name, but he works for Microsoft. He's very known on Twitter. I've talked to him a bunch of times. I'm terrible with names. That's why I can't remember names. Let me get this guy's name. I'm so sorry. Mr. Roberto Rodriguez, also known as Cyber War Dog, very known guy. He has been, I know for a fact, he has been using this collection to automatically map threats, to automatically generate signatures, right? And just having a collection of known tools to do that on is a great resource for defenders. So obviously I encourage all defenders to take a look at this, right? With all that said, how does it work? How does it all work? So obviously the binaries end up in this nicely structured GitHub page, but where do they come from? I use something called Azure DevOps pipeline or Azure DevOps. And that's simply because that's what I'm familiar with. When I used to work as a developer, that's what we used. We integrated with Azure DevOps. So that's how it became too, right? DevOps is free. You can just create a Microsoft account and log in, and you can start creating stuff. So I have this, I believe it's a project called Sharp Release, and this is publicly accessible, by the way, so you can go in and check the latest fails and stuff. You can't edit it, obviously, only read permissions, but you can go in and check, okay, has he added something or whatever if you want to. So Sharp Release, I'll leave the link here for you guys if you want to take a look at it. And the way it works is that you have pipelines for each project, like this. So there's a bunch of projects here. These pipelines will look for new commits from their respective master branches 3 a.m. each night. And if there is any new commits, they will pull and build and place those output binaries in what we call artifacts, which is basically just the output from whatever pipeline task you have in Azure DevOps. And the main sauce behind this is actually the template I built to be able to do this easily. So I have a template that builds in all these, and I'll also run some PowerShell script to make sure that I have targets for 64-bit and 32-bit. I'll showcase that later. But basically this template here is the main sauce. So my sort of my workflow with this is, okay, there's a new C# tool released. Okay, I look at it. Do I know the guy who made it? Is this a legitimate tool? How old is it? How active is it? What does it do? Does it make sense? Right? I wouldn't say I do like major quality control, because there are, including some of mine, some half-ass shady, some sort of whipped together projects in here. But for sure, I take a look at them at least. There's stuff that there's some project that I haven't added just because I don't think they fit in, or I don't generally see a general use case for it, or because they're a hell to integrate because their setup is different, right? If they have been developing without Visual Studio entirely, you know, it's much harder for me to compile and build than if they have a Visual Studio solution that I can feed into it. Okay, so let me show you how it works. So I basically click new pipeline. And then you go to Classic Editor. This editor is shit. I hate it. Go to Classic Editor. Let me just take, let's say we do one that is, let's do Rubius or something like that. Or Certify. Let's do Certify. That's a new one by. So let's say this is the project you want to compile, right? You copy that link and you go over, and then after you click Classic, you will get to this page. You click GitHub. And if you try to paste the full link, it will fail. It doesn't understand anything, right? But if you remove the first part, it's fine. And I think it's not called master anymore. They changed that, so it's probably the main repo now. Yeah, main, so we gotta change that. But this is the main trick to get Azure DevOps to pull from remote sources that you don't have, that is publicly, but you don't have to connect the service account, or service connection is what it's called in DevOps to access. Once you're in here, yeah, so okay, so you have to use using a connection. The first time you try to do this, you have to create a new service connection, and then you basically link your GitHub account. And that's just to fetch them. And obviously, when you're pushing back through the second release pipeline, you have to be authenticated to the GitHub repo you want to push the artifacts to. So you have to create the new service connection. So yeah, you do that, you click continue, and then you get prompted with this. So there's some featured templates. So these are the compile templates. So this defines what actions you want to do to after you pull the repo, right? So there's one for net.net desktop, there's one for Android, for Azure Web Apps, you can just create it in pure YAML. But I have my own special little custom template that I called Sharp templates. And this does everything I needed to do to fit into the collection. So I just apply that, and you're almost done. Now I pull the project, I get the source, I update the Nugget packages if there's any, and then I build it for 4.5, build it for 4.7, build it for 4.0. I run a custom PowerShell script, which I'll show you later, and then I compile it architecture specific for 64-bit, 32-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit for the different net framework versions. But before I can do that, I have to change two values. So I have to change the name. In this case, that would be Certify. And then in variables, I will also have to change this to Certify. Now I will share this template for you guys. I'll post it on Gist or on GitHub or whatever. It's not magic. It's not perfect, but it has been working for however long SharpCollection has been existed. I basically created this when SharpCollection was done. I did some changes afterwards, but other than that, it's pretty much ready to go. So for normal, quote unquote normal project, you just work out of the web box. Okay, then you will click save and queue, and it will just build. That's it. So I can't save and queue because I already have a certified project. So instead of continuing here, I'm just going to open another pipeline. So let me open the certified pipeline if I can find that. There we go. So here we are. Okay, let's just go edit. Sorry about that. Edit pipeline. Okay, so here are the things. So after you change the name in here and in variables, you have to set up a trigger. A trigger is what decides when it should look for a new master or new main, commits, and then build. So you go to triggers, you go to schedule, and then you add a schedule, and it tells you, every night 3 a.m. UTC time, take a look, is there any new changes? If so, let's build. Simple as that. If you own the project, you can do continuous integration. Continuous integration is basically every time it will, instead of checking every 3 a.m. Right. Also, so I'll talk a bit about obfuscation later, but so you can do if you own the repo, you could do continuous integration, which would be that every time a commit is sent or accepted, or yeah, it will build based off that. The other way around, instead of checking every time and then building, instead of checking like every 3 a.m. Yeah, and then building if there's any change, it will just build when there's a change. It's called webhooks in the backend like term. It's a webhook. Okay, so Confuser X, Roslyn, yeah. So my Confuser X would work. You could definitely use Confuser X on the artifacts. I don't know how I would add it in a pipeline, but the main problem there is that you're just going to be hella detected. The current obfuscation methods in Confuser X are detected, so you have to either make custom changes to it, or you could try using my Roslyn project. My Roslyn project is far from perfect. It's slow. And to be honest, I don't know if it's the best like approach at all. It might just be easier making a custom version of Confuser X that aren't detected. That isn't detected. That might just be easier, right? If I recall correctly, Confuser X has some sort of custom project or template or whatever that you can use. It's pretty dynamic. I haven't looked into it in a while. But I do know a lot of companies do have internal repos where they automatically apply obfuscation to just pull the binaries. I myself haven't really had an issue with that because, well, this week I've had, because the EDR solution I'm working against has their own implementation of AMSI. So just patching AMSI in the process won't work because you can't find it, obviously, right? Hey, Olaf, thank you so much for joining, dude. Thank you so much for the follow. Angel? Right, so you could definitely add obfuscation. I think a custom template or a custom version of Confuser X might be the easiest way to do that. Anyhow, so let's get back to the tasks. So after you set up the pipeline, again, I'm going to share the template later. You have to go through this and make sure it works. So let's just go through the task in general to show you how it works. So first, obviously it gets the source. There's a specific thing that you might want to change here. So where is it? Yeah, in the pipeline, you can change what the agent runtime should be. On some older projects, you might actually have to use VS27 on the Windows 26 machine to get it to compile. That could also work. So you could smack it into Donut and just make a generic loader and wrap it around that, obfuscate it, you're good to go. Could totally work. I love talking with you guys, but it's like what's it called? Content switching. It's hard, my brain, man. Anyway, so if you're having problems with some specific projects using this template, you can always try to change the agent runtime and see if that helps. I think I had to do this when the update to Rubius was. Again, don't know what causes it, but that might be something to play with. Okay, so on the actual agent, it uses these two are default, just leave them, basically fetches the NuGets, if any. And then you build. So the reason that we're building unspecific to the architecture and then running a PowerShell script is because that all Visual Studio solutions come with build targets for any CPU, or most, unless you go into the configuration manager and delete it. So when I pull a project from a repo, I know that I can straight off the box just compile for any CPU target because it's default. But if I try to compile for a specific architecture and that profile, I'll show you in XML later, that compile profile doesn't exist, it's gonna throw an error. So I made this really dirty ass PowerShell script way back. This is crap, by the way. Oh, I feel bad about releasing this, but I made this janky, hacky PowerShell script back in the day that would basically parse the XML in both the solution and the project file and add the necessary build and release targets. Right. So yeah, this is a bit crappy. I would love to go over this and just make it a lot better, but I mean it works, right? That's my motto. It works. But that's why this PowerShell script is there. I got some questions, dude. Are you backstoring the binaries with this PowerShell script? No, totally not. It's just to fix so I can compile for 64-bit and 32-bit in the specific net frameworks afterwards. That's it. So what happens is that you have a build, which will actually build it. So in the MS build arguments, I specify that I want to target version 4.5. In the platform, I specify that any CPU is fine. And then on the publish side, I basically pointed to where the output binary is. Tried to keep this dynamic because it's generally dynamic when it's solution projects. And then I I basically give that artifact a name. So if I recall correctly, yeah. So this is what happens. Basically, I'm linking this output to an artifact name. And all these artifact names will then be available later in another pipeline and be able to push. So I'm basically just call it sim linking or whatever. Basically saying that this output after this task has been run can be buffered as this artifact name. And then I do that for the other frameworks as well. So I would build for 4.7, and then I would say, okay, this binary now is this artifact, and it will be stored on the side. So I do that for any CPU for 4.5, 4.7, and 4.0, and then I do the PowerShell script, which runs inline. I think there's nothing specific at all set here. Yeah, nothing specific at all. Just runs the PowerShell script, and then after I've done that, this actually makes changes to the solution and projects file in this pipeline, and then I can compile for the other ones. So for this, I would compile for 64-bit, I would tell it framework version 4.5, and then I would specify the path for that and tell the system that this binary is this artifact name. And that's just basically how it goes. Yeah. So I'll share this template. This isn't the entire template. Let's see if I can like view the entire, if I can export it or something. Yeah, I think this is it. There's probably, this contains the PowerShell script and everything. Okay, so I'm going to, or can I export it? Because I have a template. Okay, I'll take a look at that later or after the stream so I can share this template. Yeah, so as you said, some projects might need to be IL merged, if I recall. Like there's tons of separate DLLs and components. That is true. So I think most of these projects do it because a lot of the projects that are in SharpCollection are specifically made to work with Cobblestrike and therefore either implement the Foodie, which is a very common NuGet packet that people use to auto-merge components. IL merge can also be used, but that's more manual, and if I recall correctly, you have to create your own XML profile for that. There's another one by CCOP that's called DN merge that I suggest everybody should use instead of using Foodie. It's a lot less dependency by itself, but it will still compress and pack all the references, and it should just totally work. So I'm moving, when I'm doing projects right now, when I'm using weird references that will create multiple DLLs upon release, I'm using something called DN merge. You can find it in the NuGet packager or the packet manager, NuGet packet manager online. And yeah, it's by CCOP, it works great. Okay, so that's the pipeline. That's how it works. It isn't really anything more fancy than that. It gets compiled, it pushes out a bunch of artifacts. Now, to actually push this somewhere, to download these artifacts, you could do it per pipeline. So I could go into this pipeline, and if I recall correctly, I can... okay, I should probably save as template, but... there's some place to click here to get the artifacts. I can't recall where it is to download the actual artifacts itself, but it's in there. Yeah. Okay, so while I just noticed that we have two projects here that stopped working. That might be because the developers has done something. So I'm gonna fix this, and that might be a good learning curve for you guys. No, I haven't done it for any of these. Mostly because most of the project or all of the projects in SharpCollection already have some sort of resource merger. So I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so AD collector. Fixed an issue for ADC when remote actually can't be accessed. So it's complaining about add the reference to 4.7. So it's basically saying, okay, it can't compile for 4.7. Your project does not contain a reference net framework version 4.7. Add the reference. Okay, so I'm guessing this has something to do with the agent runtime. So if I go to the agent runtime, no, that's 2019. That's weird. When was this created? How old is this? Pipelines, AD collector. So this was created back in October 2020. We could try to re-add it. Let's look at sweet potato. What are you doing here? Okay, so this started failing August 22nd. The entire could not be found. Are using a direct native or reference, so it can build for 4.7 but not 4.5. So this is very typical. So when these projects evolve, they usually sometimes they won't work for 4 or 4.5 anymore. So this project wouldn't compile for 4.5 at all. And then after somebody made an update now, this project wouldn't compile for Net Framework 4.0 because it needed dependencies for 4.5 and onwards. But now it needs dependencies for 4.7 and onwards because they added something. So simply, this project can no longer compile for 4.5. So what I do then is that I go into Sweet Potato, I edit it, and I simply disable the 4.5 ones, like this. 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. So this project now simply only supports 4.7, so if I save and queue that, it should still run. So that's sad sometimes, but I mean, I think Windows 10 comes pre-installed with 4.7 at this point, if I recall correctly. I don't know, not sure actually. So this should probably compile fine now. Let's go back to that AD collector. And what am I doing here? Why am I prompting a PowerShell script before I'm doing anything? Let's disable that PowerShell script and let's try 4.7. Let's just move these up and just try 4.7 again. Because it is running on... I guess I could try Windows 22 now, but there's no point. Windows 10 19. Let's go. See if this compiles. Okay, so the way I do it on the release side, I guess maybe I could try to create a new release to show you. Maybe that's easier. Let's try to create a new release pipeline. Let's call it... okay, so for the... You don't really need to... Okay, so what happens is that you create a new release pipeline, and then you scroll down, and then you select empty job. You have to click apply. And then you could just call it deploy or push to GitHub. And then I'm going to call this pipeline stream pipeline. And then in this pipeline, you need to add one job, and that's a PowerShell script. There we go. Push to GitHub. And then I'm going to show you the logic that I actually use in PowerShell to sort these into folders and make it look neat. But first, we need to go back to pipelines and we need to add some artifacts. So we could add any of the... So if you click plus, go to build, you see that you can select any of the previous pipelines, basically. So let's say we want to push sharp map execute. You see that the artifacts published by each version is blah, 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 blah. The latest successful build of sharp map execute has the following artifacts. 4.5, 4.564, and 6 more. So this is where the artifacts comes in, right? So I click add. And then I can do click on the little lightning here, and I can tell it to create a release every time a new build is available. So basically, sharp map execute, the build pipeline, tries to look for new commits every night 3 a.m. If a new commit is fine, it's build. And then this release pipeline will pick up when a new build is available, and it will trigger this pipeline and push it to GitHub. That's how it works. So that's fine. And then we want to do it inline. That's great. And then I recall having to... Okay, let me just save this. And then I'll show you the code I have in the actual release pipeline to push a new message. So I have one task, PowerShell script, and this is the PowerShell script. Let me just copy that out and go back into the release pipeline. Paste it in here and let's take a look at it. So this basically says that, it gets declares a new variable. Again, I haven't looked at this in so long, so sorry. And also you can't see it. Yeah, if I do it from the top, you can't see it. Okay, so basically, oh, that didn't work great. Never mind. Basically, it declares a new variable called binary path, which basically gets. So I think this is going to be an array of all the direct paths to all exes within the Sharp release folder. So this is going to be like hundreds of binaries that goes into very specific folders that are in very specific artifact folders. Then it moves into the GitHub repo. So I'm going to show you how that's done. For this PowerShell script to be able to move into the GitHub repo, you need to add it as a task. Hey, Hack the Planet. Hey, Justin, you're watching from YouTube, man. Cool. Right, so we need to change this as well. Let's go back to the pipeline, and we need to add a service connection to GitHub, GitHub service, and then we can choose Flangvi connection. I don't know why I have a sharp move there. Flangvi connection, and then you can basically select a repo, right? So, I mean, do I want to create a new repo now and do all that? Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. You go to GitHub. You pick your service connection. If you haven't created a service connection, you click new. Then you have to log into GitHub. You're done. Create a new repo where you want all your binaries to output. Select that repo here. That repo will now be accessible from within this task here, and you can just cd to that repo using the repo name like this. And then you set some global configuration parameters. Use the email of your GitHub, or if you want to use a specific email to indicate that all these commits are from your bot, you can do that. And then this logic will basically go through each binary file in its separate path and just push it down to the structure that we have in SharpCollection. Again, I'll publish this so you can use it. Yeah, this basically just takes all the files and then moves them into the GitHub repo. And that in the end, it just gets add, commits, and pushes. Super straightforward, at least when it's done. And then, if I recall correctly, there is one thing you have to enable here for this task to be able to reach out. Yeah, this. You have to enable allow scripts to access the OAuth token. This is how this task, this agent, can access the GitHub pipeline, the GitHub project repository that you give it. Cool. And then all that happens is that, you know, it gets built, the release pipeline detects a new build like it just did because we fixed the pipeline, and then it starts going through it. If you check it, this is a long task, right? So it does this, downloads all the artifacts. I believe this actually takes a solid hour to get through right now. So as SharpCollection grows, this time frame is just gonna grow. But yeah. Yeah, and that's how SharpCollection works. So I'll post the template and everything now, just so we have that. So let's create a new pipeline. Classic editor. That's just doesn't really matter. Let's just choose something now. I just want to export the template. See if I can do that. Main, yeah. Yeah, let's see if we can apply that template, and then yeah, and now we can take this whole pipeline. Why can't we view the whole pipeline? Okay, I can view this whole job as a YAML file, and I can just give it to you. Oops, copy the clipboard. Let me off screen here just post that to a gist so you guys can use it. I think it shouldn't contain anything too dangerous. And how you would deploy that is that when you create a new pipeline yourself, you would select YAML and paste this in. I'll show you. So again, I'm gonna create the SharpCollection Azure build pipeline templates. Yeah, right. I think that's no, that's on runtime in, so it shouldn't be in the template. I'll double check though. That would suck. That would be talk about backdoors, right? Create secret gist only for you guys. No, it shouldn't be in here. That wouldn't make sense if it wasn't here. Okay, so this is the gist, peeps. Enjoy. I'll post it in my Discord as well. If you haven't joined my Discord, you should do that. So okay, so that's the template. Let's see if I can show you guys how to import that. So I put that to my clipboard, I go to pipeline, I click leave, and I do new pipeline. And then I do classic editor. And then again, you would do the same. So you would connect to a repository. And then you would select YAML here. And then you would save and upload that YAML file and it will populate. So let me try. Okay, this is stupid. Why do I have to do it like that? Why would that have to be in here just to make a fucking template? That doesn't make any sense. Are you telling me there's no better way to import this in the... Okay, so, well, the thing is that once you actually create the pipeline and you have it, you can save it as a template. So you only have to do it once, basically. Take that YAML code, smack it into a GitHub repository, reference that repository, select it in here. So you would do this. GitHub, blah, 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 main, whatever. Yeah, I'm also a huge fan of the new or the classic GUI. So I'm not sure if it's empty pipeline and then you can import it here. Her. Export Azure DevOps templates. Export process templates. And give me some bullshit API call. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It is on the pipeline dash top right. Next to the pipeline button. Pipeline, leave. Import the pipeline. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would have to export it. Okay, let me create that pipeline in a different way then. So let's just use certify as an example, and then okay, I have to use my actually existing certify then. Thank you so much, Olaf, saving the day, huh? Because I think the certified one, I didn't have to make any modifications for that to work. So, and it compiles for everything. Yeah, worked on the first try. Okay, so let's go certify and then export to JSON. Save as templates. Okay, export to JSON is probably what we want. There we go. So what you can do is that you can take this template and then you import it and you basically just change out certify in the variables. Yeah, I remember when I actually used... Okay, why does it reference my projects? Her. Let me try to see what if I import this. New pipeline, leave on page. So how would you actually import this? Import the pipeline, there we go. Yeah, then it would look like this and you can just change it. So let me upload that instead of that terrible YAML. Also, why is this so terribly formatted? I hate badly formatted JSON, dude. I'm going to edit that initial gist. JSON formatter. Just doing that off screen. Yeah, I was about to say, I remember when I was using a lot with the actual Azure portal, it would change like every other week. It would be you know, 1 week it was called an Azure function, and suddenly it was called serverless functions. It's like it's a maze, man. They really have to get their decide what they want to do. Okay, so I updated that gist of mine, so you can now see that again. So again, I'll post that gist right there. I'll be sure to probably share that on Twitter later as well. Damn, I can't speak to them, so sorry. So you import that, you edit the variables, you change the source project, and then I would just make a template out of it, so you can use it the next time you add stuff. That's basically all you want to do. You just make it a template, and then yeah, you can get your very own SharpCollection internally. And I haven't, I haven't. I haven't started work on it yet, but my plan is to sometime make an internal repo at TrustedSec of obfuscated C# binaries. We have had some in the previously, but it's time to get some new stuff. I'll probably base that either on the Confuser X template, like you suggested, view security, or if I'll do if I try to make my rusted obfuscation project worthwhile using. We'll see. I mean, right now you can just still get. I mean, most of the time you can just still get away with patching AMSI, and you know, all EDR solutions that are dependent on using the original AMSI implementation by Windows is going to fail. A lot of EDR solutions, you know, Cybereason, Carbon Black, at least from what I know of, probably a ton of other, have their own implementation of AMSI in their own buffed up AMSI DLL that they load within every project process. So looking for a specific function in AMSI DLL won't do anything. Yeah. So it's basically, for those, it's just back to the table, obfuscate and you're good. I mean, it's a bit more hassle. You don't end up running every C# tool ever, but for the basic stuff it works great. Totally does. Wow, we have been streaming an hour already. 10 minutes from an hour. Goes fast. And also, I need to update the AMSI fail project. I have been taking a massive vacation from that. I know the SSL template has expired. I should fix that. Still works. If you're using it, I would currently use this one. I would use the AMSI Russellbox AMSI scanner patch. And that's just basically because if you have interactive access to the computer, if you have it on hand or if you're on site or whatever, if you copy and paste it in like this, line by line, paste in, it won't get detected. Might get detected if you make it all one giant line, but for separate lines right now, it works great still. I think these are detected as of now. So I need to go in and make some changes to make these good again. But yeah, I haven't touched it for a while. Took a solid break from the AMSI project as well as taking a general vacation in summer. So yeah, I think that's it for the SharpCollection project. You got the main juice. You got the that template. Oh, you also want the PowerShell code I use to push it. Let me get you that as well. So this PowerShell code right here. Sharp collection push JSON collection release. Yes. Sorry you can't see this, what I'm doing right now. I'm doing it off screen. Make sure you go to agent job and allow access. I'm just making sure. Make sure you go to agent job. Scroll. Check. That should be fine. Shouldn't be anything here really. Nope. So that's there as well. Enjoy. So I'm gonna go microwave my tea now, right? Damn, that turned into a huge discussion. Microwaving tea. God damn it, Dave. Or Justin or whoever started that. Did you guys catch that? It was a huge turned out to be a gigantic Twitter thread. People forever tuning in to watch Dave claiming to microwave his tea, right? Yeah. Damn though. Much fun, much wow. Right, in that PowerShell script. So I think that's a good question. So that first path will always be static, but that bottom path will depend on like the artifact for your GitHub repo. What you can also do, yeah, right. No, that's like the default root path for every GitHub for every DevOps task. But what you could do is that you could just comment it out and then just do pwd or dir and then actually check the output first. That's how I did it. That's how I found that path, basically. Yeah, you just comment out everything and just do dir and pwd, and you know what directory you're in, what files are there. Yeah, that's how I would approach it. I should probably add that as a comment in the script. Dude, I I have pushover notifications for beacons for this current gig, and I wake up in the middle of the night because I hear the pushover notification going on because some US people are rebooting their stuff. So now people are doing something pretty cool. A lot of pushover notifications. Yeah, it's like you're on edge all the time. I literally sleep with my Mac under my pillow. I mean, what day? Every day is beacon day, dude. What? I think that's going to be in the long run. It's going to be if I can't like properly disconnect from it. It's going to be a bit draining, a bit of energy. Having my Mac everywhere I go. Oh, what's going on here? What's this? Okay, my Mac is. Yeah, right. That's the issue, you know. If I can use them as a wake up machine or like a wake up dial if they're in my region, but usually they're not, right? So they wake me up at the wrong time. It's fun though. It's such interesting. It's so fun, you know. Yeah, I do put on that actually. I do. I didn't, but I do now. Sleep mode is awesome. Sleep is hard, dude. Sleep is straight up difficult. Sleep is something I struggle with the most. I think when you have, so we're getting into a whole other topic here. When you work like we do, you use your brain like 90% of the day, or like that's your main thing. Like you sit on your ass, you don't get tired physically, but you get tired mentally. Sleeping is so much more difficult. It never shuts off, dude. I can. Yeah, but no, for real, Olaf, never shuts off. I can totally relate to that. I'm laying in my bed, it's late, I need to sleep. A fucking ideas popping into my head. Everything from like, oh, I probably shouldn't have used that persistency method to, okay, what happens if this happens tomorrow? You know, like my brain just doesn't shut off. Me and my fiance bought like piece of land a year back, and we spent like a week of our vacation just getting down the trees and trying to make it flat. Because we're hoping to build a house there. A total on topic, and the amount of me being like being physical tired is 10 times better than being mentally tired. When I'm physically tired, I sleep like a baby. I fall asleep before my head touches the pillow, right? But when you're mentally tired, when you have a job like we have, it's just a whole nother ball game. And I know that when I get older, I need to get better at disconnecting from work. Right now, it works fine because I don't have any kids. My fiance has her passions. I have my passions, right? But yeah, I mean, when I get kids, I just have to disconnect more, or else I'm not going to sleep at all. It's a pain though. It's nice to hear people, older people having that struggle as well with sleeping. It's not because sleeping is boring. It's just that brain cannot turn off, dude. It won't. And that is also true. The best things do happen at night. For sure they do. At night and in the shower. Yeah, I totally get that, Night Wolf. I can have those. That's one of the features that I'm not generally proud of. Is that if I get an idea and I think it's good and I sort of put my mind just it goes to switch on it, I just have to do it. Like there's no fucking stopping me. Like I don't care what the time. Like I just have to do it. There's like have to get this idea out or this technique or this TTP or this method. Just have to run it in the lab or have to deploy it. It's uh it's great though because it definitely means that we have passion for our work, but being it's a psychological thing. Yeah, it's late for you, dude. Talking about sleep, go to sleep, man. Thank you so much for joining, even though it's like 10 a.m. your time, or I guess closer to 1 a.m. now. Really appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. Hope to see you her next stream as well. I think this is the first time you catch me live, right? I might, maybe there was one other instance, but I do think this is like the first time you caught me live. Really appreciate it. Have a good night's sleep, V. But yeah, be sure to join both the TrustedSec Discord as well as my Discord if you want to. I mean, I need submissions. There's a tiny chat box on my Discord page with submissions. Post stuff, people. I need to know what to do every Sunday. Awesome, man. Yeah, I think I recall you being here one time. Rosalind was a fucking struggle though. God damn, I still have nightmares about Rosalind, dude. Oh, I think I generally picked the hardest way to make an obfuscator ever by by re-implementing code like no, I don't want to talk about it. Oof, I get shivers. Yeah, go to sleep. One cool thing that I did this gig, it might be interesting if you're in a similar situation, is that a lot of the people that we have that execute initial beacons now are working remote off home, right? So they're not on their internal network where I want to access all the crown jewels, right? So one of the things I ended up doing is creating a aggressor script in Cobalt that alerts me when a beacon is assigned a new IP or an interface on the beacon is assigned a new IP. Essentially, I want to get pushover notifications when a beacon connects to the VPN. And I don't like aggressor script, dude. Aggressor scripts is painful. I know there's a lot of examples on it, but the documentation is still rather limiting. I did manage to hack something together, but damn, dude, not a huge fan of aggressor scripting or aggressor script. But yeah, so it was really fun. I was in a client meeting on Friday, and I got a push-up notification during the meeting with the client. Now one of the beacons connected to VPN. I was like, yeah, I have to get off now. I might just have like an hour window to do initial enumeration on the internal network. So, but it's cool though. I really love coming up with sort of on the spot dynamic. Yeah, that was my hope, right? A lot of people, I even had computers like given out to me on a separate occasion for another company where they used Palo Alto Global Connect or whatever, and it would just connect when you boot. That is true. So for this client, I just looked at the Palo Alto connection logs because he was using the One Connect client or whatever it's called, right? Global Protect client. Oh no, 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 no. Would be better if it was a buff. No, it was a Grayson not buff though. A buff would be way better. But I'm not a native guy. I would love to though. I'm telling you right now, the first security company who are to release either like a proper, I know we at TrustSec have done some buff training, but like an online course, something like I know Sector Ops. No, what am I saying? Sector Ops? Am I drunk? What's it called? Like obviously I'm not referring to Spectre Ops, but they're called Sexy ops. What are they called, dude? Let me find. I have their course on persistency. Spectre ops. Sexy ops. Let me check. God damn, man. Sector 7. Sector 7 released a rather good online course or online video training series on both persistency, malware development, and another thing. Persistency, escalation, and malware development. And those are great. Like in terms of value, they're rather low cost and they have a high value in terms of content. But I would really love them or somebody else, or maybe us. I mean, if we can get some of our amazing dev team, research team to create like a video series on BOF, that would be great. Because I mean, C# I can handle it. I'm not a native guy, and my anticipation is that you would have to be rather good in terms of C and C++ before you start approaching BOFs, because stuff is handled in a very specific way. That's at least my limited understanding of it. Yeah, that's true. Though, why did let me call him right now. No, but that would be great. I know we have had some training. Some of our research guys have done some amazing hands-on training and workshops. But obviously, me working here, I have to work, right? But yeah, maybe later on this year or next year, I can get some training done. Yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah. Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna round it off. I like keeping the streams to about an hour. This way, sort of people can catch all of it without having to set off the entire day, right? Yeah, and I really appreciate everybody joining in. Last couple of streams have been good. After I changed my streaming time, and that's been a lot better in terms of views. So be sure to join both my Discord and the Discord, Trusted Discord. Let me share. If you're not on the Trusted Discord, let me share an invite link there. Give me a second here. Awesome, appreciate it, man. Again, you know, it's totally possible to just do the same with you know, GitLab, or if you do it on GitHub, they also have some pipeline stuff. It should probably translate across for sure. Invite people. There we go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining in, guys. Really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube if you haven't. Follow me on Twitter. Assuming most of you do that since you sort of catch the stream. Mostly people join in from Twitter. But trying to grow the YouTube channel as well. So take care, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday, people. Woo! Let's get hyped for Monday. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And I'll see you next Sunday, same time. Bye-bye.